Save the World is my favorite game. I'm so sad to see they are not updating it anymore and neglected the game. So true. So there is a brand new launcher that is now in the game. It is not currently voucherable or unlockable. We suspect it might come out tomorrow with the weekly shop. That could be very exciting. I kind of want to jump ahead of the Ancient Launcher stats just because there's a lot to get through here and I need to start somewhere, but it is at the top of the notes. So, recovered from the remnants of a storm-consumed civilization, this powerful new weapon launches an explosive orb of magic and brings an all-new mechanic to save the world. My heart rate is so high. This update is amazing. I have all the behind-the-scenes stats, you guys. This is going to be a very in-depth video. This update was this morning, and this patch notes post was a couple hours ago, and I've been dissecting everything with Tomatech and Musician and Archer behind the scenes, AS407, prominent bug finder and tester in our community. I have been getting all the information, so I'm very excited to get into this. All right. It marks up to 8 enemies by aiming down the sights. Again, I can't show this because it's not available. You can't even voucher it. And hovering your crosshair over them applies a mystical glyph that lasts for 5 seconds. Then, once you release aim down sights, and it'll unleash a single target damage on all the marked targets. So you aim in with the launcher, wave it over a crowd of enemies. It marks up to 8 enemies, and then you release aim, and they all explode. That's pretty freaking cool. Bear in mind, the Ancient Launcher is mighty, but it can overheat. So I assume everything you mark applies heat to the attack or something. And then if you mark them wisely, watch your enemies, they'll all fall, which is really, really neat. I cannot wait to check that out, but there's so much more. Let's just go through the patch notes. I'm going to link this entire thing down below, and then I will timestamp it as we go. Weapon balance update. This is what had me getting my calculator out. So this update brings bug fixes and targeted buffs to a variety of weapons, especially those that are situationally useful and often outclassed. So the Vindertech weapons, you can read this if you'd like, but I'll break it down in a way I think is understandable. The Vindertech weapons have largely gotten a buff. I have the exact values here. Oh, I don't have it pulled up anymore. I gotta go to Fortnite VIP. This is where Archer posted it. And no, this is the Fortnite 124. So if you're a high level player, you can see this, but I can show it here. Thank you, Archer. This is basically what changed. The Vindertech Pulsar is the... Can I zoom on Discord? I'm sorry. The Vindertech Pulsar is the burst AR. It got a damage nerf by 12%, and then... Okay, I'm not going to read all this. Basically, the Vindertech AR... They're all a little different. You can scroll through this if you'd like. I might, put this in the comments down below or the description down below so you can read it. The quick notes is that the AR reloads a bit quicker and has a bigger clip size. The Vindertech Disintegrator shotgun now shoots quicker, costs less ammo, reloads quicker. The sniper is a little, or the Jolter is the sniper, right? It's a little bit less damage, but then it's higher durability and faster reload. So it's just a faster firing sniper. The Vindertech Blaster is, dude, this is how underrated the Vindertech weapons are. These are the Vindertech weapons, V-Bucks. These are meant to be some of the strongest weapons in the game made by Vinderman himself. But these things haven't really been touched since 2020 in that massive weapon update we got a long time ago. And they're kind of outclassed because, of course, they're all locked to energy as well. So while being weaker, they're kind of just, not that much. In fact, I don't even have all of these unlocked. I had to level up some of these just in preparation for this video. So let me give you the weapon on, the Vindertech Blaster is the one with the scope. There we go. That one has reduced spread, recoil, damage nerf, but it knocks back further and reloads quicker. The increase clip size should be nice, and it's cheaper to use. So, the clip size was reduced, but the ammo cost is less. So now you could shoot 5 times before reloading. Now it's 6. It's a bit better. And then the Burster pistol is one that definitely caught my eye. Slight damage nerf, but it's tighter spread when you're, shooting the bursted weapon, and faster fire rate, and an increase to the crit chance. So that's a Vindertech Burst right there. I am really interested. I've flagged a few of these that I definitely want to check out. That pistol seems like it could be pretty good, and I'm excited to try it out. And then lastly is the Blazer. That's the SMG. I mention this one in my dailies all the time. It's a pretty commonly available weapon. All of these are. And this one got a damage buff by 8.5%. Base crit chance went up, that's why it's up to 43 now, and the reload time has been reduced slightly. Could be pretty good. I don't know. And every single Vindertech weapon is the last thing the patch notes mention, now has the damage dealt to damage dealt to enemies below 50% health will immediately eliminate them. And supposedly, according to the patch notes, this is a functioning 6 perk. That has been bugged since launch, and then they just kind of fixed it at some point. I don't know when, maybe it was this update, but the idea is once you get an enemy down to 15%, they just die. So, could be cool, but it doesn't affect missed monsters or bosses, which is like where we would want that to work. So I'm going to try that 6 perk on a few of these. I think Affliction is going to be the king, but we'll find out. We'll find out together. I need to go live today. I can't show gameplay for everything because there's just too much to test right now, but Twitch link down below. I will be live today. I need to try out some of this. So those are the Vindertech weapon changes, new 6 perk and stat changes. The Tiny Instrument of Death now does more damage, more knockback, faster reload, less recoil. Yes, the weapon you reload after every shot. Anyway, and it's a little bit more ammo. So that is now going from 8 energy cells to 10, which is kind of whatever. I mean, a couple energy cells shouldn't be too big of a deal, but fun weapon. I put double crit damage on this. I might run till you're rocking out, try this out. You guys are probably going to see some new videos on this. If you are a channel member, you will get to see everything early. I am not going to paywall my videos for like the important stuff. I think the Potshot video, I really want to check that out. We'll get there. We'll get there. Might be like my first upload tomorrow morning, but for fun weapons like the Tiny Instrument of Death, I don't think anybody's holding their breath for that weapon. Members get early access to my videos, and pretty much all of these are going to get pushed back because updates and changes, of course, are more priority. I definitely got to check this out. I'm going to be spamming my channel. Probably not every 3 days. I think I'll post probably daily for all the new stuff. The next thing in the patch notes is the Shooting Star. So let me go and find it real quick here. It should be in the S section. This is a weapon that overheats really quick. So it has like a infinite mag size, but it overheats. And then it has a 2-second cooldown if you do overheat it. So you either have to patiently wait for it to cool back down, or you have to deal with that reload. But basically it overheats slower and faster reload. So if you do overheat it, it's not as bad. I think it was 2.2 before. Don't quote me on that. But it always seemed like a really strong SMG that was really well used if you were using 2 copies of it. So you could almost overheat one, switch to the other, almost overheat that, and go back and forth. But at, what are we looking at? 13.5 energy cells per second. That's an expensive weapon to operate. So I definitely want to check this one out, but I'm scared. It does work really well with the stacks of slow. Let me pull it back up here because the advanced GG ad is in the way. Getting 10 stacks of slow takes literally less than a second, so that's pretty good. The fact that you can use this as a freeze ray that's doing decent damage and overheating slower, I'm optimistic. That weapon could be pretty viable now. Definitely something I want to check out. Whew, let's go. All right. The Potshot. So let's break down what this means. The details now display the full extent of its previously hidden base damage, which has been reduced. Let me talk about the Potshot. You've probably heard of this weapon. It is a god tier weapon. The Potshot has always had a damage number that is simply false. It is just not true. You would see that it would do 250,000, or if you're in a full party of high level players, maybe you'd have like 300,000 or 400,000 damage on the sheet, and then in game it would be 800,000 or 900,000 damage consistently. This has been broken down by AS407 to work like this. I'm not going to explain this. Basically, there was 2 hits every time you fired it. So the weapon was not just hitting once for the normal damage, but there was like a secret second shot that also hit and did like slightly more than normal anyway, as I understand it. If I get anything wrong here, it doesn't super matter because it's different now. But basically, each of those individual shots had their own chance to crit. And the Potshot Best Perks video is a gold mine because I got smashers on smashers on smashers on smashers when I went to record this video. So you can see, this is a fire weapon versus physical. It doesn't even have that 24% of affliction. I'm sorry, of physical. And it was just a monster. The Potshot was an incredibly strong weapon because it was simply doing more than it should have. Millions of damage without a crit. Unbelievably strong. Now, they've tweaked it slightly. The new base damage is 1991, up from 1359, and now it is 1991. What that means for those who don't like too much math is it's basically 46% stronger than it was before, and they gave it a 5% boosted crit chance. So now we're looking at 46.5% more damage, 43% base crit chance if you got 1 crit rating. Maybe that'll be 15 if you want to run double crit damage. Maybe totally rocking out. You do you. A lot of ways to use this thing. And it's now no longer doing that double hit. So I believe it was doing like 90% more than it should have before, and now we're doing like 50% more with better crit chance. My napkin math, I had done math because I was planning a big video on some very strong weapons, and I'm glad I didn't put too much work into that because all of those weapons just got changed. But before, my math told me that the Potshot was doing, based on the sheet that lied to me, 222,000 damage per second with a 130 copy, solo, no loadout, my power level being 145, and now it's 343,000. So that's roughly 50 to 60% more damage than it was before. Overall, I reckon this is like a 30% nerf to the Potshot. I don't know if this thing is still a monster or not. I assume it is. It was very strong before, and I don't know who of you was around in 2019 when the Storm King's Wrath came out, but that weapon used to do 30% more than it does now, and it's still pretty dang strong. So honestly, Potshot getting nerfed, not something I'm upset about, because Potshot, Xenon Bow, Discharger, oh, we'll get there. We'll get there. Discharger. These weapons are like the only 3 weapons that a lot of players use. I think Epic recognized that, and they were trivializing the game. So the Potshot being a little weaker, so you take 4 crits to kill a Smasher instead of 3. I think that's okay. Smashers are supposed to be scary, in my opinion. Potshot being a little weaker, I don't think will be the death of the game. All right. That's the Potshot. That's it. We got through it. We got through it. There are some more changes. These weapons, having been changed, are now eligible for a reset, and you'll see they move straight on to Blakebeard's stash. I'm sorry, what? The Xenon Bow is eligible for a reset? The Discharger? What do they do to that? Where? Huh? All right, let's talk about the Xenon Bow very quickly. Timestamps might have Xenon Bow and Discharger together, because the Xenon Bow just has a smaller projectile size. That is it. I think some of the bugginess with like moving survivors off their cars might be fixed. Further testing is needed, but it just seems like the projectile, you know how huge it was? You could be like a foot off your target and it would still hit them. It looks like that's just been reduced. So as far as I could tell, the damage, the cost, they could have been a lot worse, you guys. They could have nerfed this weapon a lot worse. It's just a little bit smaller projectile. If you want to reset it, you can. I don't recommend it. Seems like the weapon is still as amazing as we know it is, but the Xenon Bow just got a little tiny nerf, and that should be fine. You just need to be a little more accurate, which shouldn't be too bad. Let's talk about the Discharger, our king. This thing has been thoroughly neutered. Thank you, Patch, for sending me these videos. I'm just going to play these, and I'll reduce the sound just a little bit here. I guess we're not using VLC. I don't know. Oh, why? We're on MOV. So it still does pretty decent damage. Let me explain something I understand to be true. The exact values might not, but I'll roll with it because it illustrates the point correctly. The Discharger does a big hit of damage every 1.5 seconds. That is generally what it is supposed to do. You can see it handle that encampment just fine. Let's not start with the MSK. Let's do this one right here. So what used to happen is when you shoot it at a Smasher, a Taker, or the Storm King end phase, it was ticking every 0.2 seconds. So instead of a big hit every second and a half, little slow, pretty casual, consistent damage, a lot of bang for your buck, 30 energy cells, got you at least a couple million damage. Now it is doing what it should be doing, where it is ticking at that 1.5 second interval. It is still a strong weapon. You saw it annihilate that encampment, but you can no longer shoot the Discharger at a Smasher and then walk away and expect it to die. I know I'm going to be a little bit of a devil's advocate here. I am so sorry for the people who just want an easy experience, but in my opinion, this is... Okay, by the way, if you're going to be using kunai, shoot the Discharger first, then kunai. You don't want to spend 75% of your time charging. Thank you, Patch, for letting me use your footage, but I gotta say it, okay? Kunai after the orb is on the ground. Same with wafers. You can shoot the orb, then eat sub-wafers for totally rocking out, or just the rock and rift damage, and it'll be nice and effective, but I do believe this is a good change. I think Smashers have just been completely trivialized. People spam the Discharger so much, they don't even use other weapons. I don't think this weapon has been good for the game. From the YouTuber's perspective, I read a lot of comments. You guys saw that silly one at the beginning. I know that there are people who will use a Discharger almost exclusively, Discharger, Xenon Bow, and then they'll complain that the game never gets any updates and it's boring. It's like, okay, well, there are hundreds of awesome weapons in the game, and the Discharger kind of made it easy. And here's the Storm King end phase. Thank you again, Patch, for doing all this and letting me use your footage. That is not the instant end phase win that it used to be. Honestly, that's okay. Storm King is supposed to be hard, and the deatomizer is right there, you guys. For those of you who didn't recycle your deatomizer 9000, my goodness, I forgot its name. It's been so obsolete for so long. The Discharger just completely put it out of a job. I think the deatomizer is probably back on top for Storm King end phase, and even with the deatomizer, you're not like guaranteed to win at this stage. So yeah, that health bar is crazy. The Discharger has been probably the most updated weapon in Fortnite's history. My best perks video is basically a history lesson on this weapon. It launched with no perks. What? They didn't work. And it was not classed as a weapon, so it affected the Storm King's horn. I have a short on that, by the way, if you want to look for it. I still get comments to this day asking if it works. It's been fixed since like a week after it came out. Then it got perks, and then it was like a normal-ish weapon again, and then it got nerfed, but sort of buffed at the same time. And now, well over a year or two after it came out, it's finally doing what was supposed to be the appropriate amount of damage. I still think it's a good weapon. You fire one ball of energy for 30 cells, and you'll get 2-3 million damage out of the enemy that it's ticking over time. It's just no longer an instant free win on all smashers and the end phase. So there's the Discharger update, you guys. It is very different, but I think it's for the better. We're gonna have to revisit our inventories and try again. Dude, I was gonna do a whole video on like the best weapons for mini bosses, and I'm so glad I didn't start that video. A lot of my recent uploads were on that topic, and looks like my list is gonna be a little bit different, but yeah, Potshot I still think might be good. But again, I need to stream and test that out. Whew, all right. Okay, all right. Moving on. Get your comments out. Blakebeard stash. I am so happy. This is my favorite team perk in the game. You guys know that on my noob account videos, I actually vouchered Blakebeard first. I wanted that team perk so bad because Blakebeard stash means so that when you kill enemies, 5% of the time, that needs to be higher, by the way, they'll drop a treasure chest on the ground and you pick it up and you get peg legs that do great damage, cannonballs that explode on enemies, and coconuts that heal you and give you damage. They only give you damage, by the way, if Crossbones is in support. Regardless, that's his thing. Coconuts will just heal you otherwise. And you have to stop and pick up that chest, and if you're taking damage, it stops you from grabbing it. Now, I have been begging Epic for years. Multiple community managers I have harassed, okay, very politely, but I'll say harassed, asking them to not stop us from opening these when we take damage. They took my humble request, leapfrogged it, and now they just pick up instantly. It's instant. You just walk over the chest and get it right away. That is like the second thing I want to test after the pot shot. It's my favorite team perk, and it pairs really well with my favorite hero. That sounds great. That's so good. Now it's only you that can pick them up, and it doesn't seem like you can share them with teammates like that. But I'm assuming if you're full, it'll pick up the chest and then just drop the stuff on the ground. I'm hoping your teammates can see that, because capping at 8 cannonballs and 8 coconuts and 6 peg legs means that you would want to share with your teammates, probably. Maybe one of you is getting luckier than the other, whatever. But that's cool. Instant pickup means you could just keep playing the game and you don't have to stop and collect, and it's a lot less messy, and that should be awesome. And I've been running the noob account on the stream a little bit more recently, and a thing I've been finding in public missions is that people don't vote. And it is theorized that people don't vote because the prompt is not clearly visible. And it was kind of like towards the bottom of the screen. Now it's in the top center of your screen. Ideally, that should mean your teammates are going to be missing the vote a lot less often. Time will tell, but honestly, just a great quality of life QOL change. Now, the bug fix section is usually where I go rapid fire and start reading quickly, but this is kind of nuts. Right out of the gate, Flutter's wisp damage now scales better. So I got two things to show here. First, her perk. Here are the numbers if you're curious. This did not do well. I launched a video on her and Hotwire right when they came out. I'll show that down here because I have something else to tell you. And it was kind of meh. Honestly, I built a whole loadout around her that never turned into a video because I was so disappointed that basically when you're running a Plasma Pulse DPS build, trying to set up AoE damage, which is the flutter going around you, it was very hard to get going, very hard to keep it going, and I died more often than I got a successful run of Flutter killing everything around me. It was basically like, if you just want to eliminate an enemy and trigger area of effect aura damage, she was just Cloak Shadow, but worse, and a Constructor. It was like a ninja as a constructor. It didn't work, in my opinion. With that damage buff, that should be good. And I'm showing you through the collection book because if you missed their events in the last couple of years, you can now voucher them. Is that my top recommendation? No. Are they fun heroes that you should try if you're curious and you have plenty of vouchers? Have fun. It's a game we all paid money to play. You know, enjoy your experience. But they are now voucherable if you missed them last season. So they've been out for over a year now. Holy shit, is that true? Or did they just come out? I don't think it's been over a year. Okay, my memory is failing me, but regardless, I think they came out and they... Anyway, they're voucherable now, if you are interested. So Flutter being buffed is kind of nice. Moving on with bugs. Chests and other containers no longer appear if they're already opened or empty and hit the road. That was confusing me. Battle Pass XP is now being earned correctly instead of earning 0. I've gotten a lot of comments about that. I do see you. I did ignore you. I didn't know what to say. I don't know why it was 0. We didn't know, but now it's fixed, supposedly. Keybinds are now displaying properly, apparently. Using the emote wheel no longer stops the player from opening the main menu. That's what was happening, because that was driving me crazy. The recombobulator issue, where the focus would randomly jump to a different perk slot, quality of life stuff, I'm just going to go quick. Players are no longer prevented from jumping while in the grasslands lake. That is so specific. I hope that was an easy fix. Major Oswald's dialogue volume is now fixed in Hunt the Titan. Very nice. Cursor mode has been restored. Alt key. If you had that, you know. If you know, you know. If you had that issue, it's fixed now. And then here we go. This is that big change just mixed in here with an even bigger one right below it. So fix an issue causing the Xenon Bow, Discharger, and Potshot dealing damage multiple times to a single target. I think 3 of the best weapons in the game have just been secretly doubling up. We knew for a fact on the Potshot. Those of us who have used the Xenon Bow in the first iteration of Survive the Horde knows that it was instantly destroying those monoliths with double hits, and it's also the UFO killer in Endurance because the Xenon Bow just hits twice. We thought that was like the hitbox having a gap and the piercing nature of the Xenon Bow hitting it twice, but interesting. And the Discharger. I did not know it was hitting a target multiple times. Maybe it was ticking a little faster, but it seems like these weapons have been balanced or fixed. We'll see. I really need to try these weapons out. I need to get back on the grind because that is a very interesting sentence. Some of the biggest weapons of the game just got, yeah. And here's an issue that I'm sorry, but we've been hiding this for like 3 years. It's fixed now. So fix an issue where certain weapon perks were incorrectly applied to other weapons. Stacking perk glitches are something that we have seen in Save the World before. They are monstrous game killers that can result in millions of damage with minimal setup and your teammates ruining your experience in every single lobby. AS has been aware of that for a long time. We usually quietly slide these things to Epic just to fix them. I'm not against you guys, okay? I just want a fun, balanced gameplay experience for everybody. Super bad exploits and game-breaking issues like this are not something I usually talk about in my videos. You'll note that dupe glitches don't get brought up. I'm aware, and I let them know because I want these things to be fixed because I want the game to function the fun way, you know, in my opinion. Resolved various UI and input issues, very nice. And then several voice lines of the imposter quest line. Archer was just talking about how there are some quest lines associated with imposter. He was just like mumbling in VIP one day about this. The VIP channel is for like paid supporters of my channel. That's where we chat a lot. You don't need to pay me anything to get like the news in the game. Hi, I make these videos for that, but we do chat in VIP a lot. And that's where he was bringing up that the imposter just had like a bunch of unused quest lines. And he must have told the community manager, Cappy Bro, because the guy who posted this, because that's just here now. Apparently there was paid for dialogue that they had hired a voice actor and a writer and put it in the game, and it was just not working. So that's working now if you play with dialogue. And PS4 Pro people, you're welcome. There you go. Known issues. I like that they do this because even though the launcher hasn't even come out yet, they are aware of the fact that you might be able to target more than 8 enemies, and aiming and firing a sight has some visual and audio effects that may persist a little too long after overheating. So there are a couple of known issues right out of the gate. They're launching a weapon that's not 100% done, just a couple minor issues, and they're aware of that. And then banner icons not updating the currently selected. Sure, that's fixed now too. And then there's someone who must have typed this on a phone or something and that didn't come through because that emoji is not represented on my browser. So yeah, kind of a big update, right? I think I covered everything. I can't think of a single side note that I forgot to bring up. We covered the Potshot numbers, my little back, you know, my math I had on the back end here. And yeah, no, we got everything covered. So comment down below. I know you already did, but yeah, what a lot to talk about. I'm sorry I didn't have more gameplay reference, just what Patch sent me here. I'll show some of it now, but like I said, there's way too much to test. It would take hours, which is what I want to go do in stream right now, to really get you guys everything I need to know. I'm going to do what I normally do, where I read out all this, share the information as fast as I can after getting my ducks in a row, and then I'll test everything individually one by one, where I can get my full attention without the need to get a giant update video out and stressing me out and making me do bad work. So that's it. I'm out of here. Subscribe. You know, members get early access to my casual videos. Information videos like this one go out right away. I don't want to paywall stuff that's not just pure entertainment. I don't want to do you guys like that. So yeah. All right, I'm gonna get to work. Twitch link down below. Come say hi.